Dear Sagittarius, there's a truth not everyone dares to face. Not all Sagittarians are the same. Some Sagittarians merely live to survive, and some are born to illuminate a generation. The question is, what kind of Sagittarius are you? And if you've ever felt like you don't belong to the majority, perhaps it's because you weren't meant to be like them. In this video, I will help you discover the deepest, the strongest, and the most sacred version of the Sagittarius soul within you. This is not just astrology. This is a summoning. If you're ready to live as the light you were born to bring, comment right below. I'm ready to live as the light I was born to bring. Because every affirmation is a signal you send to the universe. And the universe is listening to you right now. And if your heart is resonating with these words, like this video, share it with someone else. Because maybe someone out there is waiting for your light to find their way home. So what kind of Sagittarius are you? A lover of freedom? A seeker of life's philosophies? Or a sacred torchbearer destined to heal your entire ancestral line? I will help you identify the 3 most common expressions of Sagittarius and how you can discover your own through the map of your birth chart. Don't go just yet, because what you're about to learn might reveal a divine destiny far greater than you ever imagined. Next, the expressions of Sagittarius. Who are you in this journey of light? Sorn Astrology. In astrology, we often speak of the Sagittarius sign, but in truth, the universe has planted a unique expression of Sagittarius into every soul. Some are born to carry light that inspires, some to bring knowledge that heals, some to lead with sacred purpose, and some have never realized they were born to shine for others. I once met someone like that, quiet, unknown to most, yet with one act of kindness, she changed a child's entire life. No spotlight needed, only a radiant heart. So, which version are you? Those with the sun in Sagittarius often carry the purest essence of Jupiter, the planet of expansion, divine wisdom, and limitless belief. They are born with optimism, a belief in goodness, and a gaze that always seeks hope in the world. When others see only darkness, they can still point out where the light is coming from. When others give up, they still choose to rise, not because they do not feel pain, but because they believe. Pain is part of a greater light. I once asked a Sagittarius how she could still smile after losing everything. She said, "Because the one thing I never lost was my belief in rebirth." And from that moment on, I never again saw Sagittarius optimism as naive. I saw it as a higher form of courage. They are often misunderstood. In a world that values practicality, those who live by ideals are often called unrealistic. But they are the ones who carry the flame. They do not need a crowd to follow. They only need one soul willing to remember their own light. A Sagittarius sun must learn to stay faithful to their beliefs, without needing others to agree. Because sometimes, just by living in your light, you awaken the light in someone else. If you've ever been criticized for being too optimistic but never gave up your light, comment. I choose the light, even when no one else sees it. These are the ones who radiate Sagittarius energy the moment you see them. No explanations needed. They move through the world like a living faith, a being of freedom, honesty, and deep intuition. They dislike being tied down. They cannot stand control because their soul was born to fly, not to be trapped in the molds society imposes. I once witnessed a Sagittarius rising with the ascendant in the 9th house walk away from a stable career and a long-term relationship just to travel the world, write books, and teach philosophy. When I asked if she feared losing it all, she replied, "I lost nothing. I was simply returning to myself." Those with Sagittarius rising or arising in the 9th house live as mirrors of freedom. And without trying, they make others ask, "Am I truly living? Or am I just repeating what the world expects of me?" No one was meant to live as someone else's version. Sagittarius rising souls are here to remind us, freedom isn't something we wait to be given. It is something we choose every single day. If you've ever felt out of place in what's considered normal, and you're trying to live more honestly with yourself, like this video, because maybe your soul is preparing to return to its truest path. Here, we touch the deepest layer of Sagittarius, where emotions expand through learning, experience, and healing. Those with the moon in Sagittarius feel safe when exploring the world, learning something new, or connecting with something bigger than themselves, whether that's religion, philosophy, or collective spirit. But they're easily wounded when their beliefs are questioned or when their faith is stifled. Their emotions are not simple. They are a journey. A moon in Sagittarius doesn't break down over small things, but they can fall apart when their ideals are betrayed. I once met a student with the moon in Sagittarius. She wasn't crying because of the breakup. She cried because after that relationship, she no longer believed in love. And I said to her, if you are Sagittarius and you stop believing, you're betraying the light of your own soul. A Sagittarius moon doesn't need to be strong all the time, but they must learn to keep even the smallest flame alive, especially in the darkest nights, because that little flame is what will guide them home. If you've ever felt lost but still chose to keep going in search of your belief, comment, I am returning to the light within me. As someone who's studied astrology for over 50 years, I've never met two Sagittarians who were the same. Some walk into your life like a teacher, some like a fellow traveler, and some just pass through, leaving behind a glance that awakens your whole life. But all of them have one thing in common: they come to awaken the light, not through words, but by the way they live. Next, I will reveal how to recognize a Sagittarius in the middle of their awakening. The signs you can't ignore, especially if you're on the path to becoming the strongest version of who you were meant to be. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear might be the answer you've been praying for all this time. There are changes that arrive without a sound, but you know they've happened. You are no longer who you were yesterday, no longer chasing, no longer needing to prove. You begin to crave something deeper, truer, more sacred. When a Sagittarius begins to feel that calling, it means they're entering a pivotal phase, the awakening of the soul. One of the clearest signs of a Sagittarius awakening is this: they no longer live to succeed, they live to be right. They start to see every action, every choice as an expression of faith, no longer asking, what will people think? Instead, they ask, does my soul feel peace with this? I once met a man with the sun in Sagittarius in the 9th house. He gave up a high-ranking position in a major company, not because he failed, but because it no longer felt right. Now he teaches for free in remote villages. When I asked if he had any regrets, he smiled gently. I didn't lose anything. I found myself again. Awakening makes life simpler, but deeper. Sagittarius doesn't need to be understood by many, only to know they are living honestly with their soul. Not everyone is brave enough to live in alignment, but when a Sagittarius does it, they inspire just by being, because sometimes that silent act is the anthem your soul has been writing all along. If you've ever chosen what's right over what's easy, comment, I'm learning to live from within, because truth always begins with you. A Sagittarius in awakening no longer denies pain. They walk through it and let it open a doorway within. Wounds from the past are no longer hidden. They're transformed into messages, into stories, into light that guides others. A Sagittarius girl lost her mother in a sudden accident. She didn't speak much for 2 years. Then one day, she wrote a book for orphaned children, teaching them how to tell their memories through light. She didn't need to be strong. She just needed to keep her heart open. A powerful Sagittarius isn't the one who endures the most, but the one who keeps believing in light even after losing all belief. Wounds don't make you weaker, they make you deeper. And in that depth, sacred light begins. Pause, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, have you ever felt like you were living a life where you were not yet allowed to truly shine? Tell me your story, because someone out there may need it more than you know. The 9th house in astrology is the domain of knowledge, of truth, of soul mission. And it is also the natural home of Sagittarius. When Sagittarius enters their awakening, they no longer seek knowledge to know more, but to understand deeply. Truth is no longer something to debate. It becomes a quiet form of action. A client of mine with the North Node in Sagittarius once asked me, should I share the story of my time in the monastery? I replied, if you want to share it to impress, don't. But if you want to share it so that someone who's struggling knows they're not alone, then yes, tell it. When a Sagittarius has many chart points clustered in the ninth house, or when Jupiter, their ruling planet, moves into the spiritual zones of their chart, they begin to feel a deep inner calling. Living truthfully is a sacred journey. Some paths you must walk alone, not because no one wants to join, but because your soul needs a direct conversation with God. If you're feeling like something is calling you, but you haven't dared to take the first step, comment, "I've heard the calling." Because when you admit it, you open the door for what's been waiting to begin. Not every Sagittarius awakens in the same moment. Some need to get lost, some need to break. Some only need one timely sentence. And if you're reading this now, maybe you are a Sagittarius just beginning to rise. I wasn't born to please everyone. I was born to live as the light my soul came to bring. Stay with me, because I'm about to share with you the 3 deepest soul lessons of a Sagittarius. Jewels that only appear when you've had the courage to walk through your hardest trials. There are lessons you cannot find in books. They only reveal themselves when you've fallen, when you've lost your way, when you've had to walk through a long night with no light to guide you. For Sagittarius, the journey is not about going far, but going deep. And there, you will discover 3 soul lessons you cannot ignore if you are to become your strongest, truest, and most valuable self. If there is one thing that wounds Sagittarius the most, it's not betrayal. It's having to stay silent about their truth. They were born to say what others haven't dared to say. They carry the courage of the flame bearer, not to burn, but to illuminate. Yet life often forces them into silence, to keep peace in relationships, to avoid hurting others, to not cause discomfort. And that's when they begin to lose themselves. I once stayed quiet when I should have spoken. I once pretended to be okay just to be loved. But light cannot survive in the place where I deny my truth. And I've learned to speak, not to win over anyone, but to not lose myself. The strongest version of Sagittarius is not the one with the loudest voice, but the one who lives as a witness to what is right. Do not sacrifice your truth in order to be loved, because true love always walks with the light. I choose to live as the truth my soul came here to carry. If you've ever gone silent when your soul wanted to speak, let this affirmation be your first step home to yourself. Nothing hurts Sagittarius more than doubting themselves, because the universe will always test them in the most unreasonable ways, losing everything right when things were blooming, being betrayed by the person they trusted most, being pushed away from the places they once called home. But all of it is to teach one truth. Faith does not live out there. It lives within. I once had to leave my hometown on a rainy day. No house, no money, no one by my side. But the one thing I held on to was a feeling deep in my heart. I was born to keep going. And so I did. And once Sagittarius learns to hold their light within, nothing can truly throw them off course again. Faith isn't just for those who've never doubted. It belongs to the ones who've collapsed, wept, nearly gave up, but somehow they still rose and kept believing. If you've ever lost it all but still held on to a tiny flame in your heart, comment, "I still carry the light within me," because that light might be exactly what someone else needs to see right now. There's a common mistake. People think Sagittarius lives to climb high, to be on stage, to be seen and praised. But the truth is, Sagittarius lives to lift others. Career, success, recognition, they are tools, not the destination. The destination is when their inner light passes into another soul. I once had a Sagittarius friend. She was a public speaker with thousands of followers. But she told me, if even just one person leaves my talk and starts to heal their relationship with their parents, that's success to me. When Sagittarius understands the difference between glory and service, they are no longer caught in this world's games. They step out and step up. As a soul that has matured, as a light that knows where to go. The point is not to be seen, but to help others see themselves. I don't need to be known. I need to live my mission. If these words echo your own heart, write them down. Let them be a message you send back into the universe. These 3 lessons, truth, faith, purpose, they are not achievements to be checked off. They are reminders we live out every single day. These are choices you must make, moment by moment. It's a path you cannot rush, but one you must keep walking. And if you're still here, still reading these words with an open heart, then know this: you are not lost. You are on the journey to becoming the truest version of the Sagittarius soul within you. Next up, how to recognize your strongest version through your birth chart, through intuitive signs, and through quiet, unwavering action. You may have lived as a Sagittarius for many years, but are you living as the light you were born to carry? Stay with me, because the answer is closer than you think. You don't need to shout for the world to hear you. Like a candle in the night, not loud, but enough to guide a lost soul. You only need to live in truth, and the universe will respond. So how do you know you're living as the strongest version of yourself? How do you stand tall, like a sacred mountain, without needing to be seen? Walk with me. Listen to your heart. You might realize you're closer than you ever imagined. In a world full of noise, the deepest questions often come in the quietest moments. Am I acting from faith or just seeking validation? Are you posting to be liked? Or are you writing because your heart can no longer hold it in? Are you choosing the easy road or the right one? Do I dare to stand alone if it's true to my soul? No one can answer that for you, but if every morning you place your hand on your heart and feel peace, then maybe you're already living as an awakened Sagittarius. I once chose silence when the truth was not welcome, but real light doesn't need an audience. It only needs a soul brave enough to live it. If these questions stir something in you, pause for a moment and write down your answers. They don't have to be right. They only need to be real. A birth chart is not to predict the future. It's a mirror of the soul, to help you remember who you were before the world told you who to become. Look at the sun, your evolving self; the moon, your inner child that needs love; ascendant, how you walk into life; Xian, Jupiter, where you are called to expand; ninth house, where you must trust and grow; north node, your soul's destiny. If you have your north node in Sagittarius or in the ninth house, you did not come to this world to follow. You came to lead, to live by faith, to teach through the life you live. I don't use birth charts to predict. I use them to remind people you might be missing the light you were born to carry just because you think you have to be like someone else. I'm ready to discover my soul's destiny. If you've ever felt something inside calling you back to your mission, write this down as a sacred vow to the universe. The truth is, the strongest version of you is not the one loved by everyone. It's the one respected by yourself. Sometimes you'll have to walk alone. No one cheering, no one understanding, just you, your heart, and a quiet conviction. I am doing what is right for my soul. A woman with her sun in Sagittarius in the 12th house once told me, I lost my whole family because I chose the spiritual path. But I never regretted it, because I know I am not alone. I have God, and I have the light within me. Living right doesn't mean living easy, but living right means living with no regrets. And if you're walking a path that no one else understands, remember, you are not walking alone. There are thousands of Sagittarius souls also walking, quietly, steadily, brilliantly, with you. You don't have to be perfect. You only need to be honest. You don't have to see the whole path. You just need to take one brave step at a time with an open heart. And if you've made it this far, know this: you are already very close to the strongest version of yourself. Thank you, not just for staying until the very end, but for allowing your heart to open and receive the light. You may not realize it, but the fact that you listened this far is already a sign that your soul is ready for change, ready to live in truth, ready to be brave, ready to let go of what no longer fits and step into a more sacred destiny. From my heart to yours, thank you for having the courage to face yourself. This world needs more people like you. Souls unafraid of the light. People who don't wait for the world to change, but begin the change from within. If this video has awakened something to you, don't the light stop here. Comment below. I am the light. I am ready to live as the soul I was born to be, because every declaration you write is a doorway you open. The universe is listening. The angels are taking notes, and the journey is waiting for your next step. Hit like and share this video with someone you know is also walking their path home. Because you never truly know, your single act of sharing might be the lifeline for someone else's soul. You don't need to become someone else to be loved. You only need to return to yourself to begin living as a miracle. Walk forward, even if the road ahead is still unclear, because you are not walking alone. The entire sky is watching over you. I am the light. I have returned, and from this moment on, I choose to live as the soul I was born to be.